Hi, my beautiful angels. Welcome to the bonus class of Spirit School, all about ceremony. This was something that I just wanted to add in there as a little extra sprinkle because to me, ceremony is basically the foundation for all spiritual work. It's the precursor. I've never done any kind of traditional teachings on ceremony, but I have hosted many ceremonies and I just want to share my process with you. So basically, whether it be a ceremony with a group of people, or whether it be a ceremony with self, holding space for spiritual work is the work. Okay, because when I have created a safe space, which is the divine masculine, then the divine feminine within me can fill it, can fill the space up raw. Okay, absolute. But when the space itself doesn't feel safe, that is not a conducive environment to channel, to tap in, to receive, to practice mediumship, to practice any kind of spiritual work, right? So the space is incredibly important. I recommend my dream life and my dream house, which won't be that far along, will actually have a dedicated and devoted space, an actual room that's dedicated to meditation and spiritual work. My witch room, if you will. Think of Charmed, the attic, right? There's a room devoted to spiritual practice. Now, if you're not in a position to have a devoted room, then have an altar, a space, a corner, which is devoted to sacredness, all right? It's where you would put your crystals. It's where you would put your candles. It's where you would represent each of the four elements: earth, fire, air, and water. And you would basically create an anchor for spiritual practice. Now, before you begin any spiritual practice, the number one thing to do is to check in with self. Do I feel that I have the energetic and emotional capacity to hold space for this work now? Okay, that is the question you ask yourself. And you answer it not from a place of ego, not from a place of, well, I want to do this spell. Well, I want to use the pendulum. Well, I want to do the tarot work. From a place of, do I actually have that space? And if the answer is no, then you go and replenish. Then you go and practice self-care. Then you go and nurture yourself, okay? But if you do have the space, then you take the next step. And the next step is then, okay, where will I practice this work? Will it be at my altar? Will it be in my space? If I'm in a foreign environment, like we have hosted ceremonies in actual locations that we hired. So before that, I have to get there at least 2-3 hours before the event to cleanse and smudge the space. I need to infuse my energy. I need to bring my tools to anchor my energy into the space. I must prepare it energetically. I then call upon my spiritual team, my ancestors, my spirit guides, my angels, God, any ascended masters I feel connected to, or that call upon for the specific experience that we're experiencing that day. And I call upon them to be present in that space, as well as the traditional owners of the land. I always call upon them as well to allow the work to be amplified through them. They focus on the intentions we assign with us. Now, for those who want to know how to connect with their spirit guides, I have provided a step-by-step in this ceremonies workbook. Okay, so the workbook has a list on how to connect with your spirit guides if that is unfamiliar terrain for you, new territory, if you will. I have a step-by-step process, so you can do that. Once I've called upon my spiritual team, once I've cleansed and blessed the space, you know, energetically, I've just cleared anything that wasn't serving. I then infuse the space, okay? So I then pray upon the space. I pray for the intention that I want to amplify and live and experience that particular moment. I pray. I write the prayer in advance, or I let myself channel the prayer. I say sometimes some mantras, affirmations. I may sing, I may chant. I will definitely play some sound frequency, whether that be sound bowls or binaural beats or hertz frequencies that I feel are conducive for the specific experience. I play them, okay? And I allow the space to fill. I make sure that I use all of my senses. Remember, that's the divine feminine energy. I make sure that there are smells, there's incense, and there are mists and oils. I make sure that I'm tasting things. Do I have my herbal tea and my water or cacao? What am I using to anchor my taste, my palate? I then make sure that I'm hearing things, right? I have the sound frequency. What am I seeing visually? Is there beautiful ambience, right? I make sure I include my salt lamps and I dim the lights slightly. I don't want any harsh, bright, intense lights. What other things do I see? Do I need tapestries? Do I need totems? What do I need to bring into the ceremony and the space? And again, this doesn't matter if it's for self or for many people, okay? It is an entire ceremony. This is before we've even touch the card deck or touch the pendulum or practice the meditation, right? I'm just focusing on the entire journey. Okay, remember, we must allow attention, space, and time to curate the most conducive environment to connect with the spiritual world. Once I've done that and I've indulged all of my senses, I've prayed upon the space, I've called in my spiritual team, I feel connected energetically to do this work. It is then time to go on and practice my ceremony, whether that be any of the spiritual tools that you've learned in Spirit School, or whether that be a cacao ceremony, or whether that be a sound healing, or whether that be a breath work session, or whether that be a heart opening experience or a chakra clearing experience, whatever it happens to be. Even if, if you've watched the healing video, even if it's using one of the healing modalities, I would still take myself through the step-by-step in hosting a ceremony, holding space. Once I've practiced whatever I decided to practice at that particular ceremony, how do I close the circle? I usually do a closing prayer, or you may have a closing ritual where everyone has to wash their hands or put their hair up or clap 3 times or dance it out. That's a really good one. So at the end, you'll put some upbeat music and practice some ecstatic dance to just release any energy that flowed through you that may still be trapped, that wasn't channeled specifically through your vocal projection, and you release it and you just jump up and down and release it. You thank your spiritual army and your spiritual team for being present during the ceremony and experience, and you close the circle, right? Usually with a prayer. If you've ever done a Pilates class or a yoga class, you always end with your hands in prayer at your heart space, right? Namaste. And you need to close the circle. We've moved through the experience and now it's time to release and detach from the experience and release it. It's a relatively easy process, but it is required. It is a requirement because remember, we are in Spirit School for magic mastery, and magic mastery requires the 2 things. I keep drilling it into you. Intention plus attention. The intention is the practice itself, what you want to go in and practice. The attention is the space. It's the divine masculine. It's making sure that we create a safe, conducive environment and space to practice. And then the divine feminine, with all of her beautiful intentions and fluidity, flows through that safe space. And together, watch worlds open, watch portals open. It is incredibly powerful and sacred work, but we must offer it that sacredness. Okay, we must offer it that sacredness. You will get better and better and better at this. It takes time to attune yourself to this kind of work, and start with self. And then when you start introducing small, intimate circles and then eventually larger and larger and larger groups of people, your job will be to maintain a safe space. Will people feel safe in your space to allow themselves to be vulnerable and raw? Okay, that is my job as the host, as the ceremony host and facilitator. Can I create a space in which people feel safe within? And how do I do that? I indulge their senses. I make sure that it feels like an environment where I can surrender. If the lights were super bright and harsh, people are not going to feel safe crying and releasing their emotions, right? If it's a very cold room, people aren't going to feel safe. It must feel warm. It must feel like a hug. Am I indulging their senses? Am I providing them with a warm drink? Am I providing them with the mists? Am I calling upon their spiritual team? Am I teaching them how to call upon their spiritual team? Am I praying and infusing protection energy in the space? Am I creating a safe space to do this work with self or with others? Throughout Spirit School, you are up leveling, and that's what this work is. Eventually, you will be in a position in which you can host and teach this work to others. Okay, so it's important that we take the necessary steps. We aren't rushing through this. There is no hurry. There are a lot of people now who see spiritual practice as a commodity and they rush through it. They just do their cards and pull out cards. You can, but a deeper connection is created through reverence, through deep connection, through a sacred exchange, through time and space, through attention and intention. I love you all so much. Download the workbook. I have all of those steps written. I even have a little activity at the end on how you can start practicing and holding your own ceremonies. I have the list on how to connect with your spirit guides. Enjoy Spirit School. I love you all so much, and blessings abound.